My name is Nguyen. You have some echoes here. Can you test it? It's already live, right? Thank you very much. Oh, it works better now. Yeah, but actually it is on live. So my name is Hum. So I'm the regional representative of ILRI in East and Southeast Asia. We would like to welcome you all to this very important meeting at D40 Livestock Data for Decision. I think that is really for the first time that we have a very big group of experts in livestock in Vietnam, and we are very proud to co-host this meeting together with ND40. We would like first to welcome you and hope that you will have very good time, good discussion during this next 2 or 3 days in Vĩnh Phúc. Yesterday, I was shortly with some of you at the dinner. So we are here in Vĩnh Phúc province. So we are 1 hour from Hanoi capital. So, and I understand that on Friday, you will have some time to enjoy Hanoi. I wish you have some time to visit Hanoi and have some activity outside as well. Okay, so to open this meeting, I'm very happy to invite our colleague and friend, Dr. Tong Chinh, who is the Deputy Director General of Livestock Production Department of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, to come to welcome you and to give an opening speech. So I invite you, Dr. Chinh, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to introduce myself. I am Tong Chinh. I am DDG of the Department of Livestock Production under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development of Vietnam. It is very great honor for me to be here and also participate this workshop on livestock data for decisions. As you know, in Vietnam, livestock sector play very important role for the agriculture system in Vietnam. This subsector contribute about 6% of the total GDP every year in Vietnam and contribute about 19% of the total revenue of agriculture sector, and contribute become very important livelihood for the farmer and especially for the poor farmer in the mountain and forest area, and also become very dynamic sector for different tasks in our system. For the system livestock data in Vietnam, we have quite different from the other country, because all the data from our system not be to our military, but belong to the Ministry of Investment, and also we hold the ZSO. So this data from agriculture as the whole country become relevant data for all the country. So officially in Vietnam, we have two systems of data for livestock. One belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture, but overview on that belongs to the ZSO. And today we highly appreciate all the participants, especially most of them the international experts on livestock and also about statistics to be here and participate very important workshop today, livestock data for decision. And we also understand that it is very useful for Vietnam to be here. First, to present overview about how the way Vietnam livestock sector collecting the data and how to use the statistic methodology to apply for making the decision and also set up the comprehensive plan and master plan for the agriculture sector. And we also share the information and learn from you how to improve our livestock data system and the new advanced statistics methodology for making the decision and also the policy in Vietnam. And for this very special occasion, we would like very much to thank for the International Institute for Research and also for the SEBI belong to the University of Annabelle and all the participants today. And on the behalf of the Department of Livestock Production under the Ministry, we all of you have good health and also success with the workshop today and also enjoy very beautiful scene from the Flamingo and also in Hanoi, Vietnam. And hope that you have a good stay in Vietnam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tong Chinh from Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. You see that ILRI have been here for 10 years, and actually we have a MOU with MART, and DOP led by him and his colleague is one of the key policy partners in Vietnam to work on livestock. So next, I would like to invite Dr. Nguyen Tuan. He is the Director General of IPSARD. IPSARD is the Institute of Policy and Strategy of Agriculture and Rural Development. Is the only one think tank of agriculture in Vietnam who produce a lot of data for agriculture in general and in particular for livestock for decision as well. So I would, and Tuan is also a very long-standing partners with ILRI in Vietnam and in Southeast Asia. And I would like to invite Dr. Tuan to come over to give a remark for this meeting.
Thank you, Hong, for a very good introduction. Good morning and welcome you all to this workshop. It's my pleasure today to have some speech in the beginning with you about the data for livestock sector in Vietnam, and I think also for other developing countries. Livestock, in my opinion, is quite emerging industry in Vietnam, and I know that in other developing countries we have the same situation. Emerging industry in the sense that we are in a very strong transition from a more subsistent livestock growth to a more commercialized livestock in Vietnam. Before Vietnam, when we talk about livestock, we just talk about like very subsistent, if or as a kind of saving for household, or a kind of if they have something surplus, they will try to sell it. But now it become more and more commercialized. So when the sector become more commercialized, we need to think about a number of factors like what is the demand for such kind of livestock household, what is the competitiveness, and how sustainable it is. So then when we have the changing context, data are very important, especially for policy decision maker. Like for demand, for instance, with the change in the diet of the economy, with income growth, with urbanization. So we must know, where the demand and how to sell the product to our consumer. And talking about competitiveness, we need to know about the productivity of the livestock sector in terms, like the breeding, the feeding system, and especially in terms of policy making process. Vietnam, we have to make a very big decision that, like whether we should keep, land for rice only, for paddy only, for food security purpose, or should we have some alternative crop, like like the feeding system for livestock, when the demand of livestock, the demand for livestock has been increasing, and the demand for rice has been declining. So it's also a big decision, and then how much a plan should be devoted to rice, or how much a plan should be devoted to livestock development. And I think the question is a very critical question for Dr. Chinh, for instance, in his department, because in principle, Vietnam, in the land law, we in agricultural land we cover also the livestock land, but it's not so specific. So it's very difficult for him to develop a kind of land use zoning or land use planning to develop the livestock sector in Vietnam. In terms of competitiveness, we also need to think about the quality, the disease, quality warranty system, and we also need data. And beside the data provided by the Zero Statistical Office, we also need a very technical data, and how to match, how to integrate different kind of data system. That for policy decision making, I think is also a very critical question in Vietnam at this moment, especially for livestock sector, because as I say, that is a new and emerging industry in Vietnam. And for livestock sector, Vietnam now, we also need to think about sustainability of the sector. Like how much footprint is set for the economy, for the nation. What is the environmental impact of livestock development, and let's say about carbon emission and other kind of things. So sustainability, I think, is another mention we need also to measure. And last but not least, I think the ultimate goal of any kind of data system related to livestock is what is the impact on the livestock producer, especially the smallholding producer, is still very prevalent in Vietnam and also in other developing countries. And with this workshop, I think that experts here, representative from different countries, we may share experience and data and method that how we integrate different kind of data system to make a better decision for policy in livestock sector. And I wish you have very successful workshop and enjoyable time to stay in Flamengo in particular, and in Hanoi or Vietnam in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tuan, for this very nice overview of data in Vietnam and also livestock growth. You see that in Vietnam, actually today we have very several different important meetings in Hanoi. We have one event chaired by our minister on ending hunger in Hanoi. We have also other meeting on climate change and livestock and agriculture with our CCAF program. And in the same time in Bangkok, we have a global event on nutrition as well. So I would like to thank you, Dr. Chinh and Dr. Tuan, very much for having time with us, because it's I think that you consider that this workshop is also very important in Vietnam. That's why your presence is very appreciated. So thank you very much. And with that, I hand over to Alan Duncan, who is the true host of this today.
Yeah, no, I'm not the true host, but thank you to Hung and to our Vietnamese colleagues for their warm words of welcome. So as Hung said, my name is Alan Duncan. I work for ILRI and the University of Edinburgh, and I'll be helping a little bit with the facilitation of this meeting. You're all very welcome. I know many of you, and some new faces as well, so we're looking forward to a very stimulating 3 days. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Andy Peters, Professor Andy Peters, who's the director of SEBI, to give his words of welcome. Andy.
Thanks, Alan, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fourth LD4D meeting. And as Alan has already just mentioned, special thanks to our Vietnamese hosts and new friends, Deputy Director Nguyen, Dr. Tong, and thank you for those words of introduction. As I mentioned, this is our fourth meeting. It's actually our second this year. I think LD4D has taken off beyond our wildest expectations in SEBI, and we're very gratified that so many of you have chosen to come to Hanoi and join us again. And we feel we must be doing something right in order to continue to attract you. And obviously, we're hoping for an excellent meeting over the next 3 days. And while I'm on the subject of thanks, I also wanted to mention Carl, because it was Carl who originally invited us here. So thank you for that. SEBI, Supporting Evidence-Based Intervention, which is, it's possibly the wrong terminology, but the kind of parent body for LD4D, is concerned with livestock health and productivity, largely in sub-Saharan Africa. We're not involved in too much work in Asia, but clearly what we've just heard of things about impact productivity, about sustainability, about environmental issues are clearly common really across the world in terms of livestock production. In the next 3 days, we will be reviewing progress from the working groups particularly, and the working groups are really the dynamic force of the COP. So you all, as members of working groups, have a real active part to play, and we'll be talking about things like impact and its measurement, data quality. We'll be reviewing progress with live gaps, Mario, so get ready, and other activities. We'll also be streaming some of the proceedings from the meeting. On the subject of impact, in particular, if you remember one thing from what I've said, I want you to remember this, please. We all enjoy coming to these meetings. It's great to come to, for many of us, an exotic, luxurious location and get together, have some great discussions, have a great time. Nice hotel, nice food, nice company. But we mustn't forget our customers. And our customers are the poor livestock farmers. And we need to constantly remind ourselves that what we're doing, all of these discussions, are about helping improve the livelihoods of those livestock farmers. The other aspect of this meeting is we've tried to make it very inclusive, not quite democratic, but inclusive. And we would like you to continue to come up with new ideas about what you think the priorities are for us through the working groups. We think the working groups so far have been quite productive, and we want to continue with that. So I'm looking forward to the next 3 days. We have an eclectic group here, of first-class minds. And so I would encourage you all to actively participate and contribute to that discussion. So thank you very much and enjoy the conference.
Thanks, Andy. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Shirley Tarawali to come and say a few words on behalf of ILRI, the International Livestock Research Institute, who are helping with some of the hosting of this event.
Thank you, Alan, and good morning, everybody. Dr. Chinh, DDG Livestock, Dr. Tong of IPSARD, DG. Really good that you were able to join us, and thank you very much for welcoming us all to Vietnam. It's also good as ILRI that we're able to be here and part of this meeting. I did join very briefly the meeting in Naivasha earlier in the year, but this is my first time to be part of the whole meeting, so I'm really excited about that. And as Hung said, we as ILRI are really pleased to be hosting and supporting the meeting, and we're very pleased that the meeting's taking place here in Vietnam. As many of you know, ILRI's been known as an African institute for many years. We're co-hosted in Ethiopia and Kenya. We do have 14 other offices around the world, and this is our biggest office outside of East Africa. We've got about 15 people based here in Vietnam. So we're very pleased to have the opportunity to be part of this meeting here. And it's good to meet new colleagues, former colleagues, and present colleagues here as well. So thank you very much for that. As I see the meeting having its 3 different objectives, it seems to me that we have ILRI people able to contribute and be part of each of those components, making an impact through livestock data. We've got Steve, who's been working on the big data and the visualization. Steve Kemp, that is. We have 2 Steves here. And we have Okeo's not here, Tarawali's here, who've been really looking at projects that use and generate and find ways to apply data on the ground. We've got data to show impact using evidence, both evidence in a sort of anecdotal way, the clients that Andy just mentioned, but also evidence that adds up and the foresight kind of work with the big numbers. So connecting those 2 pieces, the on the ground anecdotal and the high level global numbers. We need to be able to tell the whole story to make the case, if you like, for the importance of livestock, which we've just heard about here in Vietnam is really key as well. Looking at data quality, we have Carl and Dolapo, who are working on the modeling, and Mark also looking at some of the survey approaches as well. So we're pleased to be part of that. And on the communications part, myself and Steve, working with the livestock facts team, have been looking also at the communications and advocacy part. So we're really pleased that we feel totally part of this and able to support it both logistically, but also in terms of the content. And I've been here just a couple of days in Vietnam. This is my 5th meeting in those days, so if I give the wrong introduction, I think I'm on track at the moment. But what was interesting to me was just a couple of days ago, we signed a new MOU with the National Institute of Hygiene and Epidemiology, looking at the One Health interface between people and animals in particular. And we heard from them how they're looking at using data from the livestock sector and from the human health sector and starting to put these together to address challenges such as AMR. So this was a really nice example to me that resonated with what we're coming to talk about here. Not just talking about the numbers, but turning it into really practical use for our clients. So very welcome from ILRI and from our colleagues here in Vietnam in particular. And many thanks to everybody for coming and to the team for supporting the logistics. Again, thank you very much to our host here in Vietnam. Thanks.
Thanks, Shirley. And lastly, I'd like to invite Shannon Mesenhowski of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to say a few words on behalf of the Gates Foundation. Shannon.
Hi, everybody. I joined Shirley in this being my first LD40 meeting and wanted to just have a chance to offer a welcome, but also maybe a little bit of context setting for how the various members of the foundation team that you interact with sort of fit into this big picture. So just firstly, myself, I'm Shannon Mesenhowski. I'm the program officer for the SEBI investment with Andy and team that encompasses this LD40 community of practice. You guys are all well acquainted with Stan Wood, who is sort of the strategy and policy linkage to this LD40 community. and one of the visionaries for its development. He sends his regrets that he was not able to come in person, but I think, barring any technical difficulties, we may see or hear from him in a little bit. So he will offer his own witty words of welcome, as Stan is prone to do. And then I also wanted to just acknowledge my colleague Hannah Reed, who you will hear from in just a moment, who is a linkage on the agriculture development team for our policy and data efforts. And so she tends to link into the LD40 community of practice with really the technical mind to help align with the broader vision for our agriculture development team, of which the livestock team fits into. It's a pleasure to be here and sort of meet with all of you because I've heard about the work that's been going on for many years now. And I just want to sort of thank you for allowing me to come in and be humbled by the collective intellect in the room, because this is definitely a group to be reckoned with. I also wanted to just offer a quick couple of thank yous to all of you for coming. I know that there's a lot of travel demands on folks with wisdoms as we see in this room, and so thank you for prioritizing this. On behalf of the foundation, we view the work that you guys are doing and the thoughts that you have around this as very important. And I just wanted to acknowledge that they do influence how we work. What you guys put forward and what you guys tell us are the needs of the community around data and livestock influence the strategic direction in which we go. So thank you, and know that those thoughts are taken into account very heavily. Also wanted to thank the SEBI team. They've been on a journey with the foundation over the past few years since this project was designed. And they've been very gracious and accommodating as we sort of shift our direction and priorities along the way. So thank you to them. As Andy mentioned, and I would concur, the LD40 component of this has exceeded all expectations. And so thank you for your role in that. Lastly, thank you to ILRI for helping host and convene this. I think having such a strong partnership with ILRI really gives this some of the legitimacy that it requires to make the impact we're striving for. And the last thing I just wanted to offer is maybe it's already well acknowledged, but to note that the foundation's vision on impact, as Hannah will talk about a bit later, data and livestock in general is a work in progress. And so the things that are put forward are subject to sort of influence by those of you who are experts in this field. And so, as I mentioned already, please know that what you put forward is taken into account, and we really value your opinion and your time and your perspective. So thank you for helping guide us in our role in supporting you. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Shannon. I'd now like to invite all the people who said welcomes to come to the front for a photo. I think there's some media people here, and we want a photo of all those who said hello. I think it's in front of the...